start. All right, I want to make sure that is in neutral. Okay, my brakes are applied. I'm going to turn on the ignition. ABS light to come on. Once they turn off, you press the clutch, now fire it up. Safe start. All right, always announce anytime you fire the truck up, do a safe start. When you're doing your first test, you're more than welcome to go ahead and put on your seatbelt. You want to make sure that it's not cut or frayed, it's in good condition, it's properly mounted and secured, and that it latches and unlatches. Just leave it latched, okay? With this first test, we're going to have to start with at least 100 pounds of pressure, and we're going to be working strictly with the primary gauge only. It'll either say F for front, secondary is R, or number 2 for secondary tank. But we're going to be working primarily with the F, which is the front in this case, okay? I'm already at 100 pounds of pressure, so I'm good. I'm within my range to start this test. All right, the test I would like to perform first is my low air warning. And the purpose of that test is to make sure my low air warning light and or tone comes on between 55 and 75 psi. So I'm going to go ahead and fan my brakes. I'm going to look at my primary gauge until the light and or tone comes on. Tone's going to come on the secondary, and the light. Now here comes there's my primary. Alright, this is a good test because my light on my primary gauge came on at 55 psi, therefore it's a good test because it's in the range of 55 and 75. Alright, the next test I would like to perform is my compressor cut out. And the purpose of that test is to make sure my compressor cuts out before my primary needle exceeds 140 psi. I'm going to go ahead and throttle 1200 RPM and just keep an eye on my primary gauge. I'm waiting for that needle to settle. Cut out. It means stop. You guys hear that air exhaust? Don't go by that sound, all right? You want to make sure that needle actually stops. And it did stop, all right? And then you just go ahead and stop right here, all right, Mr. Examiner? My compressor cut out at 110 psi, therefore it's a good test because my primary needle never exceeded 140. All right, the next test I would like to perform is the compressor cut in. And the purpose of that test is to make sure my compressor cuts in before my primary needle drops below 100 psi. So I'm going to go ahead and depress my brakes firmly once. Wait for that needle to settle. You're going to announce this reading twice, okay? All right, it settled at 103 psi. I'm going to throttle for 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have cut in. It started to rise. I don't have to finish a full 10 seconds. All right, Mr. Examiner, this was a good test because I have cut in at 103 psi. Therefore, it's a good test because it never fell below 100. Okay? Now, the next test I would like to perform is my applied brake leakage test. And the purpose of that test is to make sure I do not lose no more than 4 psi in 60 seconds. So I'm going to go ahead and engage my clutch, put in my transmission on low gear. I'm going to turn off my truck, release the clutch, turn on the ABS, light to come on. I have proper reading on my gauges, okay? Now I'm going to release my parking brake as well as my trailer brake. It has static pressure, it's going to settle. Alright, they settled. Now I'm going to apply my service brake and hold it firmly. Alright, it's going to settle again. I'm going to announce that reading when it settles. Alright, Mr. Examiner, I am at 85 psi. Can you please time me for 60 seconds? So he's going to time you for 60 seconds while you're keeping an eye on that gauge to make sure you're not losing any pressure. Now he's going to tell you, all right, time's up. Now you're going to look at that gauge again to see how many you actually lost. Mr. Examiner, I am still at 85 psi. Therefore, it's a good test because I did not lose no more than 4 psi in 60 seconds. Would you care to check the gauge, or can I just release my foot off my brake? And he's going to say, go ahead. Always ask permission to release your foot. Because once you release it and you made a mistake, you could always recover. But if you release it, you can't. You're done. Okay? All right, Mr. Examiner, the next test I would like to perform is my spring valve test, my pop-out test. And the purpose of that test is to make sure my parking brake, my tractor protection valve, my trailer protection valve pops out between 20 and 45 psi. All right. By doing that, I'm going to go ahead and fan my brakes. I'm going to keep an eye on my valves, not the gauge. All right. Do not touch the valves, because they're going to think you're assisting them. You want to make sure they both pop. All right, both valves popped out, and it is at about 25 psi. Therefore, it's a good test. It is in the parameters of 20 and 45 psi. Therefore, it's a good test. All right, the next test I would like to perform is my three-way brake check. But before we do that, we need to be at least 100 psi to perform this test. So with your permission, I'd like to do, again, another safe start. Okay, put that in safe. The ABS is already off. Go ahead and fire it up. All right. Mr. Examiner, at this point, while we're waiting for our pressure to build up, permission to conduct my in-cab inspection. All right. You're going to work from the back inside out. Okay. First, I would like to check again my seat belt. I want to make sure my seat belt is in good condition, that it's not cut or frayed, that it latches on latches, and it's properly mounted and secure. Just leave it latched. Next, I'm going to check for my mirrors. All my mirrors. I got my spot mirrors as well. Side mirrors. Clean and clear. They're not cracked, broken, loose, or missing. Free from illegal stickers. I want to make sure my side mirrors are adjusted to me as a driver. I'm going to check for my windshield, that it's clean and clear. It's not broken, loose, or missing. It's not heavily pitted, and it's free from illegal stickers. Windshield wiper seal. Make sure it's not dried, cracked, broken, loose, or missing. My wipers. I want to make sure my wiper works, as well as my washer fluid. Next, I'm going to check for my wiper blades. I want to make sure my wiper blades are in good condition. They're not dried, cracked, broken, loose, or missing. And they're in good condition, and they have a proper tension up against my windshield. Okay. Now I'm going to check for my gauges on my dash. I have 4 gauges that I'm concerned about. I want to check for my coolant temperature gauge, oil pressure gauge, as well as my voltmeter, which is digital. I want to make sure they are all in normal operating range. My air pressure gauge, I know has been working because we just got done testing the air brake system. Okay. Now, since I'm in the dash, I'm going to go ahead and check my indicator light, left turn, my right indicator light, my 4-way emergency flasher, as well as my high beam and my low beam. Next, I'm going to check for my city horn, highway horn, make sure they're both working. I'm checking for my heater and defroster, put that on heat. I want to make sure my fan is working up above and as well as at the bottom. FET, fuses, extinguisher and triangle. I want to make sure I have extra fuses on my glove box for this truck. The extinguisher is mounted on my left side of my seat, that it is properly mounted and secured. It's not broken, loose, or missing, and it's in the proper range of green, and it's got the safety pin on it. I have 3 red reflective triangles on there in my jockey box, but they're in good condition. They're not broken, loose, or missing. Mr. Examiner, we completed my in-cab inspection. And with your permission, I'm going to go ahead and finish my 3-way brake check. I'm going to go ahead and engage my transmission below here. I'm going to release my parking brake. I'm going to check my trailer brake. And I'm just going to do a tug test to make sure my trailer brakes will hold. Do not pull away really hard. Just feel for the tug. Right there. That is a good test. My trailer brakes held. I'm going to reapply my parking brake. I'm going to release my trailer brake. I'm going to check my parking brake. I'm going to do the same thing and do a tug test. There it is. That was a good test. My parking brakes held. The last test being my service brake. Mr. Examiner, would you like me to perform it or just explain it? He's going to say just explain it. Be in a safe position. Go ahead and put this in neutral and just apply it. I would engage. Explain it as if you're going to perform it, okay? I was going to go ahead and engage my transmission to low gear, release my parking brake, as well as my trailer brake. Place my left hand at 9 o'clock position, right hand at 3 o'clock, open palm. I will then roll up 5 miles an hour, 15 to 20 feet, apply my service brake firmly. If my tractor and trailer stops straight, it is a good test. If my steering wheel tugs either left or right, it's an indication I either have a low air, a flat tire, or my brake are in need of adjustment. Mr. Examiner, that would conclude my air brake test as well as my in-cab inspection.